Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to the Next to Flex podcast late night edition, man. I got my man Apostle right here, right in front of us. I'm gonna let him introduce himself and then we're gonna get into it with this interview with him.
How y'all doing today, man? This is AK the Apostle from Let's Talk Sports, y'all. And I'm here with my boy B Zell on the Next to Flex podcast. How y'all doing tonight?
All right, Apostle, man. I know you. I known you for some years now, man. But people see you. They know you from the battle rap. They know you from the podcasting. They know you from the church. They know you from just about being everywhere. You know what I mean? People know you. You're a DMV vet, man. Um, and we go back some years. I respect you so much as a brother. But the thing is, I know who you are, and I want people to get a chance to know who you are. You're a very influential person. And I think that your story is like crazy, man. It's real crazy. And I think that it can help someone. So this podcast right here, the late night edition, is basically about uplifting. And you know what I mean? Maybe it can inspire someone. So let's take it back to the early days. Growing up, where are you from?
I'm from the DMV. I live pretty much all over throughout the DMV. So I'm just gonna say I'm from the DMV just to keep it short and sweet, and then we can dive in at the more, as we get into the interview.
Okay, so how were you raised? Was you raised by your grandmother, your mother, your father? How were you raised? Mostly, where did you spend most of your days, or who you spent most of your time with as a younger age?
Well, my one of the most influential people in my life is my grandfather. He was known as Mickey, but his real name is James, but known all around as Mickey Neal. He was like in the beginning stages, he was the most influential person in my life. Like that was my hero. That's who I looked up to. And I kind of tried to model my behaviors after him. Now, my biological father, we never really had a relationship ever since I was like 5 years old. But I did have a father figure in my life. My sister father pretty much stayed around, and to this day, I look at him as my father. A lot of people didn't know he was my biological father until my biological father passed. But I never had much of a relationship with my biological father. Years ago, I went looking for him, but it just didn't pan out. You know what I mean? So, that's one of the voids in my life, not being able to at least establish a relationship with him before he passed. But, you know, my Heavenly Father did, fill the void.
Okay, so let me ask you this: did that affect you in life? Not being around your biological father. I mean, of course it made some type of difference, but how did it affect you the most? You know what I mean?
I never, okay, in most cases, some people, I never let it affect me to the point that like I was mad, upset, but it's a void. You know what I mean? It's just a void that you like it that you can't fill it. You know what I mean? Unless you able to, make contact with that person. So that void it has always been there, still going to be there. But I never let it, I didn't feel sorry for myself. Didn't let it, trigger me to having behavior problems. That's like beyond the realm. A lot of people end up with these issues. They do some really wild things, some really, crazy things, and then be like, well, it was because I didn't have a relationship with my father. I didn't want to be one of them.
Okay, okay. Well, coming up in school and stuff, I've known you when I first met you. I met you. You was an artist. You were a known battle rapper. Um, I know the story, and we'll talk about it later on. The story is a good story of how we met, but the thing is, I've known you to be a battle rapper. You know what I mean? In the beginning, but I wouldn't want to call you a battle rapper. I think that's what people knew you as, but I thought you was one of the best performers I ever seen till this day. Um, and I mean, the bars you had was always crazy. I mean, so what inspired you to do music, and how old were you when you started doing music?
The crazy thing about it is I wrote my first rap when I was 8 years old. And it was just something about rap. Like I was always intrigued by rap ever since, hip hop, hip it to the hip. I was always influenced by it. Like I used to watch all, Breaking, B Street, all the movies, Crush Groove. Like I really was like following that stuff. And like really I say about I say when I was about 15 years old, I really got serious about trying to rap. Like this was like before rap became so global, but like Young TV raps were just starting out. Like Rap City hadn't started out. So like we used to be all in the school, just like you see in the movies. We'd be in the school battling in the lunchroom, battling and whatever, rapping with the go-go bands and doing all that kind of thing. So like rap was always a part of my life from the beginning. Like I would always like, I was the one walking home on the pathway, rapping in the back of the classroom, rapping. Like whenever I did my book reports in class, I rapped them. You know what I mean? In history, I had to do a report, I rapped it. So it was like everything was rap. Everything was rap. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be the biggest thing, at the time. So that's how I, just did it. But and then later on started going around performing and doing other things as it grew, man. But yeah, rap was always a part of my life. Still
Okay,
is.
well, let me ask you this: do you remember your first verse you ever wrote,
Yeah.
or the first line you ever wrote? Give me your first line you ever wrote.
See, here's the thing. Like every year, like around Valentine's Day, we do what we say, a show your love display, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my very first rap song was a love song. So that's why when I finally got over to where I'm at now, it was never hard for me to do a love song because I've been doing love songs since I've been rapping. So my very first rap was a love song. It was called a song called For the Love of You. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And it was like, sitting back, relaxing. I came up with a theme, and then my mind came a very, very fresh love theme about this little girl I tried hard to get with. And I ain't gonna go no further than that, but yeah, that was my first rap. And that was when I was like 13.
Okay. So moving on, you started battle rapping. Um, what led you to battle rap? I know I know in school we used to beat on the tables and rap balls and stuff like that. But what just made you say, okay, I'm about to get off into this arena of battle rapping?
Because back then, every time you would rap, right, there's always somebody was like, yo, you can't see such and such, or you can't see such and such is this, that, and the third. And everywhere you go, soon somebody say that somebody else can rap, they're gonna put that person against you, and you gotta be able to, you know, come up with something right then and there because it's embarrassing because like you could like back it ain't like now when you got time you can learn about somebody, go on the internet and Google them and look at their pages. No, right, you had to be ready to go right there on the spot. You know what I mean? And if somebody got you, if you really want to get your face back, you better get them the next day. You can't wait 2 days, 3 days. You gotta get them the next day. You got 24 hours to respond. So I had a couple guys that every time I seen them, I had to battle them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was our story. You know what I mean? I had to battle him every time I saw him.
Have you ever had a time where you feared a rapper, another battle rapper, or was like, man, I don't want to go against him? You might have been a little younger, you might have went against somebody that's a little more seasoned, but was it one guy that you just weren't trying to see him right away, or were you didn't care?
I wouldn't say I feared him. I would say that I knew this battle was pivotal. We was down at the State of the Union, and it was me versus a guy named Dream. And what it was I was the champion from the previous year, and he was the champion of that year. So they was trying to get us together for a while. So I set the date. You know what I mean? Because they came to me, was like, okay, we're gonna put you on stage. And I said, nah, we're gonna set the date for next week. We the feature match. You know what I mean? And when I came in, I knew that everything had to be right because this dude was so tricky. Like you had to he could freestyle about your shoes. He'll freestyle about your clothes. He'll freestyle you couldn't give him anything to linger on, and whatever you're gonna say, he could rebuttal it. So I wasn't scared, but I was highly aware and highly on top of my game when I knew because this is a battle that it's for all the marbles and the pressure's on really both of us because it's champion versus champion. So I wasn't really scared, but I knew I had to be on my A game. So what I did was my motto back then when I was battling was like this: I'm too strong for the commercial rappers, and I'm too smart for a thug. So that's how I had to do it. I had to outsmart them.
Okay. So how did you fare in that battle?
I won.
Oh, you won. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I
I got
won.
you. I got you. I
Yeah,
got you. So, okay, moving on from battle rap, you start writing a lot more, recording. Do you remember the first song you ever recorded?
recorded first. Well, that was way first song I recorded was a song called "Ain't Nothing Changed."
Okay.
And that was just me just going through different layers of my versatility and lyrics. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And then that came behind. Then behind that came a song called "I Live and Die by My Lyrical."
Okay.
And
Okay.
then I started getting more into started collabing a lot more with people and doing different various type of songs like that.
Okay. Now, you say you from the DMV, which I'm aware of. But in the DMV, go-go is the predominant music. So was it hard to be an artist, or did you get ridiculed for trying to be, or not trying, but you were for being an artist or a rap artist, hip hop artist, as opposed to going down the go-go lane, or did you dapper in the go-go lane?
Yeah, I dabbled in the go-go lane. I was in a couple go-go bands as well.
Okay.
But what you had to do, what you had to do was keep your portfolio open. Yeah, I'm gonna rap in these go-go's, I'm gonna do my things in this go-go, but I'm still gonna maintain this over here. So, and then a lot of times you had to be able to do both. You know what I mean? Because you know, don't get it twisted. Some of them go-go rappers, man, they had a way with the crowd and they know how to play them things. So you get up there just thinking you're just gonna rap your little words and all that, and then one of them come up there with one of them Jones that's rocking with the band and all that, they'll drown you out. So you better make sure you was on your A game in that arena too.
Okay. Okay. So in the go-go lane, you wasn't, you played, you dabbled a little bit in it.
Oh, absolutely.
So let me ask you, what was a better feeling, on stage or when you're in the booth and you laying that verse down for the very first time, and then you come out and you hear it after it's recorded? What give you the better feeling?
Well, the stage always is always what you work for. You know, the in the booth is very important too. Working on your craft is very important too, because you definitely want to make sure you're putting out quality product. But it's nothing like the stage. Nothing ever takes the stage. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now moving on. Um, I knew you went to the United States Navy. Spent 3 years in the Navy, and what made you decide to go to the Navy?
My mother,
Thank you for your service, brother. I just want to tell you thank you for your service. But go ahead.
thank you. Yeah, my mother. My mother, we was headed down the wrong path, doing a lot of things that we shouldn't have been at the time. And my mother just showed up one day and was like, "Nah, you're not gonna be like the rest of my family. I don't want to harp on it too bad, but I have throughout our family, have a lot of people that ended up, incarcerated or dead, and she didn't want me to go down that path. So she took me into the recruiter office. Man, I wasn't even there 2 minutes. I cussed him out, upside, right side, all over, man. And I still don't know what he said that had me a couple months later swearing in. Because I read him. I fed him his lunch. You know what I mean? You can't tell me nothing. I don't give. I knock you out. I kirked on it. But he said something that got my attention, because I ended up, swearing in and went on out there and serve my time.
So when you was in the Navy, I mean, how was that experience for you? Did you learn anything? Did you see anything? Did you not like it? Did you like it? What was that experience, overall experience in a nutshell for you?
It was a lot. You know what I mean? It was a lot. It's not what see. That's the thing about everything in life. See, you see something on television, and there's always all these glorified people that, saluting and all that. Man, ain't that, man? It's a grind. You know what I mean? When you get in there, it's a lot going on. You know what I mean? You gotta stay focused. They didn't tell you, like, especially in the Navy, you're gonna go out to sea and not see land for 30 days. not be able to see, not be able to watch television. You don't have no mail or no communication with nobody for like 30 days at a time, man. Sometimes we had to go through what they call sleep hours. So you was up for 72 hours, or we go through water hours, like stuff like here. This was your choice. If you eat, you can't take a shower. If you take a shower, you can't eat. You know what I mean? So when you out to see stuff, they don't tell you all that. It get crazy out there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I would not change that experience for nothing in the world, because what we learned while we was out there through a lot of things. And what's crazy is I just reconnected with a bunch of guys that was on the ship I was on. We on WhatsApp together now. Like we telling our stories from back in the day, and it's a lot of them, man. But like I said, it definitely took me from out of my teenage years into the early stages of my adulthood. Because like I said, it's nothing like it, man. It's 1,000 stories we could tell about when we was out there. Like, man, we like sometimes you don't even know what you're eating. You know what I mean? Because like you ain't getting the top of the line. Like we was on an attack order. We wasn't the aircraft carrier who living life like high on the hill. Nah, we the grunts of the battleship, of the battle group. So we eating turkey wings that taste like Salisbury steak. You know what I mean? You don't know what you eat. You know what I mean? But the craziest thing that ever happened to us one time was, what happens is all the mail go to the aircraft carrier, and then they'll throw up what they call a mail buoy in the ocean. And we'll send somebody out there on one of our boats or whatever to get the mail buoy, and they bring it on the ship, and you read your letters and from your loved ones and all that. But one time we hadn't heard from the mail buoy in like a month and a half, so we finally got it. And the guys on the board talking, yes, they're bringing the mail to y'all right now and be coming to you soon. And everybody like, yeah, you want to get your pictures, you're getting pictures from your loved ones or hear from your significant other, whatever. And then they opened it up and it said, no mail, joke's on you.
And I know, being in the military, getting that mail call, that's very important. When you get them letters, that's like the highlight. People ready. You ready. That was like, we didn't get email. It wasn't no emails back then. No text.
You don't want no email,
mail,
text. You couldn't go on social media.
Yeah, exactly. It was special. You know what I mean? So moving on from the military, you out the military, you back on the block, going back on the block. Was it a culture shock for you when you went back to the block, back home? We call, as people don't know, when you leave the military and you go back home, we call it back on the block. Don't mean you back in the hood, but back on the block.
Well, for me, that's what happened. It went straight back to the block. Came back. I dibbled and dabbled for a while, because what happened was you come home, you done served your country, you got your little couple of dollars, whatever that, but then you come back around the way you see that's back when the dope boys was really doing it. I mean, they was doing it, man. Like you walk up the block and they laughing at you like, look at you, old man, with the chloroforms on and whatever, and they sitting there style, got knots in their pocket, driving the big boy Joan, the house jumping, girls everywhere. You sitting there like, what am I doing with myself? You know what I mean? And then they'll play it off like, nah, man, this ain't for you. But then you get to hanging out with them a couple of times. The next thing you know, here we are. You know what I mean? Because that's pretty much that's the whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood was rocking, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So did you end up on the block? As far as hustling?
Absolutely.
And what made you? I mean, you just touched on it, but what made you say, okay, I got to get out here? And this is no judgment zone. This is your truth. This is your story. You feel, man?
Listen. One thing about these, when we talk about this stuff right here, the operative word that's always going to come up is what I used to be. I'm nowhere near that man right now. That man is a stranger to me. You know what I mean? If I see that man right now, I wouldn't know him. But at the time, it was so intriguing. It was so alluring. Yeah, we had to jump. You know what I mean? Because it was just like it was. It was fast, a lot of fast nights, a lot of crazy stuff going on. And then we had what we call, I would say, what I would call the hardest summer ever, when, a lot of my close OGs and homies got locked up or killed. I almost went to jail. It got real. It got real. So we had to make some real life decisions. You know what I mean? And then I never will forget the day that I took a bunch of dudes to where I had my stuff at and said, y'all can have it. They was like, what? You can have it. I'm gone. I ain't never go back. You know what I'm saying?
What made you first? So did you ever get locked up behind this stuff?
Yeah. I did get arrested. I came very close to serving a whole bunch of time. Let me just say that.
Okay.
And what happened was in the case that I was involved in, the head detective, right? He searched my background. He saw my military background. He saw I actually had a job too. He saw that I had a job, and he saw that I was he saw some of the stuff that I had going on. So what he said was this. He said, because he pulled me up outside the courthouse. He said, come here for a minute. He said, let me tell you something. I got a feeling about you. I got a feeling that you can make something out yourself. I got a feeling that you just was a person that was in the wrong place at the wrong time around the wrong crowd. I really feel that you can, go out here and really make something out yourself. Because he said, because I could have took, basically what he said is, I could have took some of the evidence and easily slid it on you. You know what I'm saying? Because we got you in certain positions where we could have did it. Now, even if it wasn't, because see, police make up their own crime scenes, what people don't know. You know what I'm saying? I could have slid this on you. You know what I mean? But I chose not to. Now, what he said was this: don't make no fool out of me, because if I ever get you down here again, you better bring your toothbrush. And I said, I tell you what, if I never see you again, it'd be too soon.
Okay. So walking away from the gang
was the birth of Tight Shorty.
That was Tight Shorty. This was before Apostle, Tight Shorty. Now, where did you get the name Tight Shorty from? Because I met Tight Shorty. I didn't meet Apostle. I met Tight Shorty.
It was a guy at school named David Young, and he could always come up with a name. Like every time he sees somebody, he gave him a name, right? He used to call me Big Daddy from Cincinnati. But I was like, man, I can't use that, man. It's a Big Daddy cane. I can't be. He said, you know what? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come home, and tomorrow when I come here, I'm going to give you a name. And he came into me, right? And he said, man, Tight Shorty. And I was like, man, I ain't taking that name, right? But it was better than what I had, because I was going by Rap Master C, Big C, Big. It just none of the names was good. And Tight Shorty had to grow on me. You know what I'm saying? But but yeah, that's where I got it from. It was a guy at work, man, that was like, man, I'm gonna give you a name. He gave me Tight Shorty, and I ran with it.
Okay. So as Tight Shorty, I know you from the music. I've seen you perform in different states. And when I was in Georgia, you came down there, and I seen you perform on stage when you really didn't want to do it. And that was really when I looked in the man's eyes, and it's like he battling his demons. But let's take you back, because you had talked to me about certain things, and it was about addictions, and that's close to home to me, as you know. So I want you to talk about your addiction, how you became sort of, I want to say, well, keep it real, addicted. And I
would say this. I wouldn't say addictions, but I was a stone cold alcoholic. That's for sure. I definitely was an alcoholic. And in terms of with the weed and the drugs and all that, I had a infatuation. I had a short relationship. Now the alcohol was real. The alcohol situation was real. I used to wake up in the morning and drink like 24-ounce bowls for breakfast. It was days where I got drunk 2 or 3 times in one day. You know what I mean? Like I would be drunk by 9 o'clock, take a quick nap, go to work, come back, get drunk again about 4 o'clock, go shoot ball, come back, get drunk again at 9 o'clock. And then the worst thing they could have ever gave was, man, they gave us a spot, right? The joint was an after hour spot. It
Mm-hmm.
don't even open till 2:00 in the morning.
Oh wow.
Bring your own liquor. You hear
Mm,
me? Bring
mm,
your own liquor. So this what we would do. Me and the guys, right? We would do whatever we do. Watch the fights, do whatever we got to do, right? Do whatever we got to do. And then what we would do, right? We would go to the liquor store, load up, get our fifths, cases, all that. Go down to the spot, rock out. And then when everybody ran out of their liquor because they didn't bring enough, we was the liquor store. So I'm saying, because we would like pretty much we would have like 2, 3 fifths, 2, 3 cases of beer, coolers full. Like it was that. But see, like I said, my drinking situation, like I ain't even gonna try to deny I was a stone cold alcoholic. It got to the point that I was doing, when you get to the point you're embarrassing yourself, you're going places, passing out all over the place. I remember one time, man, I partied one night, man. I woke up in the back of a car. You know what I mean? It like you just it was very humiliating. A lot of stuff that you do when you get drunk, you can't help yourself. You fall on the pot, stuff spilled all over your clothes. Just embarrass yourself. You know what I mean? And then at 2 DWIs for a whole year, I had to blow in the tube just to start the car. One of those you blow in the tube, then you gotta wait, blow in the tube again to prove that you ain't got no liquor. And when I finally ended up they did that for me. Then after that, they put me in a room with like the Alcohol Anonymous type thing.
mm-hmm.
And I'm in there with these people, right? And I'm talking about, I'm looking at these people in this room and listening to the stuff they saying, and it was at that moment, it's like, I don't belong here with them. I don't belong in here with them.
Okay.
I should not be in the room with these people. Nothing against them, not judging them, because I'm an alcoholic just like them. But I'm saying where they're at in their life and what they trying to accomplish in life is not where I want to be. Like, it was people in there that being the drunk is all they cared about. I just want to be a drunk the rest of my life. I don't care what I do. I just want to drink. It was dudes that was leaving out of that joint that was like, I'm going to park my car, go across the street, get something to drink. Like, you've just left having to get tested to see if you took a drink. You left your car with the machine in it and went across the street and had a drink anyway. That's how bad these dudes are. I'm not him.
Okay. So what was the time that made you just say no more? I can't do this no more. I got it. I cannot drink anymore. Cause see, I remember coming from the A, and we done had great days. We done had good nights and great days, and stories that I won't tell, and stories I can tell on another day. But I know we hey, listen, Grey Goose, we was getting the Grey
I'm
Goose.
open book, man. I'm an open book.
Yeah, when we touched down and the boys from the A, and I brought them up here, and you pulled up, you already knew we was getting the Grey Goose. You know what I mean? You was getting the Grey Goose. You would get the bottles. We would play Madden and get in the studio and being locked in, making songs, and they was like, yo, you will always show us a good time. You know what I mean? And the thing is, in the studio, we be locked in. You get the Grey Goose. We had the bottles. We drink it. And I don't remember just getting super drunk, but I remember us getting lit. But we ain't.
Oh,
we was good. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had some good nights, clubs, and all that in the DMV. I mean, I know you done them all, from Dream to Love to DC Live to the
H2O.
Icebox to the exactly.
And my
all
favorite, the 94th Air Squadron was my favorite, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I know you done been around, and I remember the first time I met you, we was at a hotel party, and I remember we had to lick in. I think we had to lick in the tubs. You know what I mean? The bottles in the tub. You know what I mean? And we was getting money then, and that was our younger days. But the thing is, I remember at this time, I never thought that you was battling your demons. I never thought that you was at that time, because we was young and we was living, that you was battling alcoholism or none of that, because you carried it well. You see what I'm saying? As like you told some stories where it was the dark sides, but around me, I never noticed that. So when I found out that you had to blow in a tube or to start your car, I was like, what? Like, yo, this is real. This is the first dude I knew personally that had to do this. And to see that, and and my thing is we maintain our relationship over the years. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you got saved, you know, and you went from like, yo, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not doing this. I'm not in the club. I'm not nothing. I'm practicing abstinence and like you really like you doing the whole thing. Like we had talks, man, like and you helped me through my situations. You feel what I'm saying? And you was always I never had a big brother, and we close in age, but I always, you know, looked at you as an older brother, not only as a close friend, but an older brother. Like when I tell people these are my brothers, I always mention you. You feel what I'm saying? Like and luckily we doing a business together right now. But getting back to that, what made you go and just join the church and get yourself saved and turn to God and Christ, you know?
He boxed me in, man. He boxed me in. You know, he got me. The walls was caving in. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was like as everything kept coming down the line, so many incidents happened in a short period of time. You know, lost a child, lost a close cousin, lost a brother, you know, lost best friend, you know what I mean? And it was like every week I was going to a funeral, you know what I mean? And it was like everything was going on in my life was now falling apart. Now the rap career falling apart, you know what I mean? Not you know, got on the radio, forgot my lines, lost the battle to a dude I had no business losing to. It's like everything was just falling apart. You know what I mean? Everything was falling apart. So one day, I ain't gonna lie, I sat down and this like just randomly, I just said, you know what, man? I just talked to God. I said, God, man, I need a sign today. I know I don't normally talk to you, and I know I don't, you know, I'm not the most, you know, I'm not a saint, you know what I mean? But I need a sign today. And that was the same night, you know, randomly, I was on my way to a dinner function. And Rain from PGC called me and said, hey, I need you at the radio station tonight, 2 hours from now. And I'm like, she's like, no, you saying you can't do it? I was like, no, I'll be there. And I get there, and I'm supposed to battle this guy on a Friday night mic fight. And Trick Daddy was like in the next studio over. You know, had all the people from the radio personalities in there. This is Howard homecoming weekend. You know what I mean? They picked me, you know what I mean, to be on the Friday night mic fight on a Howard homecoming weekend, and I bombed it. I said something on the air. Flex had to do a sound effect, and all the noise went off and all that, whatever. It was people calling in like, give my man another chance. And it was crazy, bro. But then I knew right then and there, I said, God gave me my sign. That was the sign I needed. And then that was Friday night. That Sunday, I went to Evangel Assembly because the Saturday before that even happened, that Saturday before that, I went to my first men's prayer breakfast. And then that following Sunday, I went to Evangel. I went down to the altar. I gave my life to Christ, and I never looked back. I never looked back.
Evangel Assembly. I was a Royal Ranger there, and I know that church. I go back with Pastor, was it Jack Kane?
Jack Kane.
Yeah.
I never looked back.
And Peggy, rest in peace. So moving on, and you didn't look back. Okay. Was it ever a time where, as you know, they say God hear your prayers, but the devil hear your prayers as well? You know what I mean? Yeah. And temptation is real. So was it ever a time where it was like calling you back to it, where it's like, yo, what can I do? I mean, I'm this known battle rapper. I've done this music thing, and I know I can speak for everything in the city. This was before social media. Everything in the city, I know you was doing it. Like you was on the radio stations, you was on the radio shows, you was in the clubs, you was doing shows. I've seen them myself. I've seen you host in Baltimore. I've seen all these shows that you've done. I've seen the limo rides. I've seen the bottles. I was in the hotels with the bottles and stuff. You know what I mean? So was it ever a time where it was, I've seen you in Atlanta where you went down there to show the love, and you was there with me and family, and the whole team went down there, and you was like, you really didn't want to perform, and you rocked the joint. You feel what I'm saying? Like, as far as you, so it was like, has it ever been a time where you was like, man, this? I know you went to gospel. Was it ever a time it's like, maybe I can do both, or was it people in your ear ever saying like, you don't need to be doing this, you need to be doing, the second?
There's always people that's going to say you don't have to do strictly gospel. It's always wrong. It was always people saying that. But my thing was, I wanted to, whatever I was living, I wanted to talk what I was living. And for when it came to being a Christian artist, at first I didn't know if I was going to do it at all. You know what I mean? I kind of just like sat and just was being taught, how to be a real man of God from my mentors and the people that I was learning from the men's group at that particular church. And I was letting them groom me and whatever. So I wasn't really doing that. I was singing in the choir, man. And I can't sing. I can blend, but I was singing in the choir. I was doing all the little, all the events, like, we singing in the men's choir, have a talk with Jesus. I mean, we doing all that. So one day we had choir rehearsal, right? And the Pastor Jesse, Pastor Jesse said, hey, man, this next song we're going to do, I need the following people to stay after rehearsal. So I'm thinking I'm in trouble because I'm not no lead singer. I know he's not giving me a lead. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, he about to kick me out the choir. Like, I mean, did I really do that bad today? You know what I mean? So, but he was like, no, I got something for you. He said, this new song we're gonna do tonight. I wrote a rap that I want you to do, and I took that rap and I gave it back to him. He said, what's wrong? I said, I can't do that. He said, what you mean? I said, if you want me to rap, I got to do what I do. He said, what you mean? I said, I got to do what I do. I will write my own rap and I'll perform it. I promise I won't embarrass you. He said, you know what? I trust you. So we doing the song. And then, the lead singers go to the corner, like, everybody on the stage is a great big mass choir. The leads, whoever gonna sing the lead at that moment, they go to the corner and just sing their line, and they go back to their spot.
Okay.
So it finally come to my part, right? And I don't know what made me do it, but I went straight. I went straight tight shorty, right? I go to the middle of the stage. I didn't go in the corner. I walked all the way to the middle of the stage, right? So they're looking at me, right? And I'm thinking, they think I'm about to sing, right? They screaming like, yeah, oh, yeah. And I'm like, they think I'm about to sing. This really could be bad, right?
It could be real bad. It could be good or it could be bad.
So they singing the bridge, and I'm sitting there like, this could really go left. You know what I mean? So as soon as I started, because I'm saying this is back when Christian hip hop wasn't popular. Like, this is new. Like, you're introducing a new realm in this building.
A whole new genre.
And they lost it. They went crazy. And that was the birth of the apostle.
Birth of the apostle.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then no looking back. Now, this is the time I came back from Georgia. And I was walking a similar walk with you. And I was going to all the shows. I was like, you was like, yo, I got to perform at this church. And I was like, okay, let's go. Anything you said you was doing, I was with it. We arguing about Cowboys and the Redskins at the time, all the way there. But I'm with it. I'm riding, taking pictures. I'm watching you sell CDs out the trunk. You weren't giving out. You was selling. You was actually getting money. I think you got more money in the gospel realm.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I remember you had, what was the first gospel project you did? What was the name of it?
I Testify.
Okay. Now on I Testify, how many copies you think you sold and gave away altogether?
Have no idea. When you say sold, I can't even remember. I know I sold a lot because I kept re-upping them. You know what I mean? I kept getting shipments. So I sold a lot of them. And I also gave away a lot. You know what I mean? I never, because see, one thing I always wanted to make sure that if you truly couldn't afford to get a copy, this God word, I want you to have it. So if somebody came to me, and I didn't charge everybody. Like somebody said, man, I only got $2. Then you got the CD. Or you got $1. You got the CD. I wanted.
I remember them. I know you move units. I can speak for it. I know you move units. Everything was by you, for you, by you. You was pushing them. And I remember the shows. I remember the paid gig that you did with one of my friends, good friends, and they
Right.
loved you. And you would. I mean, dude, you was all the way in Virginia, deep in Virginia. You was doing shows all over. Church in Maryland, out I think by Bowie or something. You was doing a lot of shows, man. And I was looking at this. I was like, yo, battling my demons and back here, not really wanting to be back here, but needing to be back here because my family was here. You were my family, and my family, like friends, close friends, brought me back here. And I'm watching you. So it helped me through my whole situation. It helped me grow watching you. You know what I mean? And that fulfilling, I saw the same where I didn't know where you were going to go with it, but that same you, but better. It was like another glow on the stage in churches, whereas you did it in clubs, you did it at shows, but now you in churches and they got crowds and you performing. Then you got with like this camp. Now people know that, and I remember some of the guys a part of it. Shout out to those guys. I remember their names, and I'll let you speak on them. But I remember you was a part of that situation. I remember you doing that situation. And I remember some of the songs, I mean, like it was yesterday. What was the name of the group and what led you to get with them, or how did you get with them, or whatever?
I think you either talking about when we did a project called Change Men, or I think you talking about when I was, with a group called Christ Music.
It was both. One of them, they were parallel times.
They were parallel to each other, but they were similar but not the same. And some of the people that's with Christ Music was on that project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So it kind of like went hand in hand. I mean, as you grew out there, social media started intertwining a lot of us. MySpace, Facebook. So we started meeting a lot of people on social media. So as we found out about other people in social media, and we got to learn one another, man. He was like, man, come on, man. Let's collab, let's work, and things like that. So the idea came across. I thought it was a dope idea, so I ran with it, man.
But let me ask you this, and I heard this, and not just, I'm not going to say from you, but from the same problems you have in the secular music realm, you have in the gospel music realm. You have the divas, you have the people that think they need to be in the forefront. You have the ones that think they're more Hollywood than they are, and you have all that. Did you? And we don't have to name names. Did you come across where you wanted to work with an artist and they felt like they were too big, or
all the time,
or the group,
all the time,
or the group, or some of the groups that you dealt with, circles, they felt like they should have been on more of the songs or the opening verses, or it should have been more about them, or
all of the above, all of the above, all of the above.
So you, like, give me one time, and you don't have to name names because I mean, like I said, we don't have to do all that. But
yeah, we don't.
Give me a time whereas he was like, "Yo, this wait a minute, man, this is I'm just as good as you," or I thought we was doing it for God, but like this is, you know what I mean? Where egos came into play.
Man, listen, when I first got into the Christian hip hop realm, every time I would because I was like a kid in the candy store, especially on social media. I didn't even know what the acronyms meant, so I didn't use them. But I would all, just hit people up, man. Hey, man, I see you doing this, I'm doing that. Let's collab. And I would get the Heisman. And then it was times we did events, and people, you had the people that was, in order for me to show up, I need $500. I need $1,000, 6 water bottles, 2 towels. A Bed of Roses. I mean, I seen it all, but I never really cared about the whole, hey man, I'm just as good as you think. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was like, can we work or we can't or we can't? Because I was never tripping off that. You know what I mean? Once I got comfortable in my walk and my purpose and what I was doing, I didn't care about who was bigger and them treat me like they supposed to treat me. Because see, at the end of the day, for those that did do that, you missed out. You missed out on the opportunity to build with a brother. You know what I'm saying? So for those that did, and you just what I learned though, you will find that the craziest thing is this: the biggest stars was the coolest ones.
Mm.
You know,
name some of the biggest stars that you have performed with or on the same stage as.
Marvin Sapp, Vicky Winans, Kurt Franklin. I don't want to miss some, but those were like the major ones. I mean, I did Ty Tribbett. It was a lot of them. It was a lot of them, you know what I mean, that I got to be around. But like I said, the bigger stars, like Kirk was chilling. Kirk was laughing, giggling. He didn't care. But then you get the ones that's like the middle of the pack, or I ain't gonna say middle of the pack, but they just not big as these people. And then they like, who are you? How many followers you got? I mean, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
that. And but that's everywhere. But the lesson of that, because what I want to convey to when we were talking about this is this: always let your true personality guide you, whatever you do, and always remember everything is about people. You know what I mean? If you're a people person, stay a people person. Don't let your success take you away from being somebody that's natural for people. You know what I mean? Don't how your success, how much money you got, who big you are, should not determine how you treat people. It should never be that. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now, name some of the biggest or best producers on both sides that you ever work with.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I worked with Mo Digger. I worked with everybody that was over at the Night Flight Studios, which was, they was like the premier studio in the DMV. Just about everybody went over there. So I definitely did tracks over there. RP brother Scotty Beats. I did a couple with him. Your brother, definitely. Double A was definitely one of the most talented, treasures out there. I mean, golly, on the gospel side, it's too many to name, It's too many to name. My partner, my partner at the time, his name was Elect, man. He kept the rawest, producers, hitting them up, Twins Production.
God's Elect? God's Elect?
Yeah, Twins Production, my man K Drama, you know what I mean? I mean, it was a lot of people.
A lot of these cats I met through you, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, my band Blaze Torch, the Frontliners, they, those guys, sent tracks out there too. So it was always a lot of, I will thank God that, especially on the gospel side. I mean, I did reach some heights on the secular side and did make it to certain stages and, in certain
stages.
But on the gospel side,
I understand.
God allowed me to be around the creme of the creme.
But I'm gonna say this: in the DMV, for the DMV, it has people don't understand that DMV is very musical. There's so much talent here. They just didn't have all the outlets once BET moved on or whatever. But the DMV itself has so many different talents here. So many different. It's so versatile, and I know some of the greatest stages, of yesterday's time. That if it was a stage, I'm pretty much you done it. If it was a club, you was there, right. whatever, and you weren't just coming in the back door. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and I could stamp that. Yeah, moving on from the music. I remember you meeting a young lady, and I remember you eventually marrying her.
Oh, okay.
And this lady here, I can never say no wrong about it. It's grace. I mean, in her, I mean, the way she moved, the way she talked. She used to be driving, me and you be arguing about no, you was driving. She for a lot. But we would be arguing about the Redskins and the Cowboys, Floyd, you know, I'll just be spiting Floyd just to spite Floyd. And you know what I mean? I wanted to find somebody that can beat him, and nobody would beat him, but you know, and you know, you was big in the boxing world, but we used to always go at it. And she used to be right there laughing right there with us, you know.
Right.
You end up marrying this young lady and
Right.
having a couple kids by her.
Right.
And I watched
Still
it go.
married. Keep that. We still married. I mean,
Still married, elevating. I mean, black excellent. You are a black excellent story. Y'all are. And the thing is, I mean, even when we had a piff at one time, and it was crazy why we had a little tiff, because we never had a tiff. But my thing is, till this day, and this up close and personal, she called me. She said, "Listen, I need you to talk to him, and I need y'all to communicate." And I said, "You're right. You're right." And I'm gonna tell you, one time I came to Home Depot to talk to you, and I saw you, and you didn't see me, and you moved on. I was like, "Man, forget that, man. I'll talk to him later." And I saw you, and I was like, you know, and it ate at me that night, you know. But she called me, and she put that call through, and I was like, "Yeah," because you was my brother, and it was over some crazy stuff. But she's just a woman of grace, you know, and she's always. I can't say nothing but great things about her. And you have two beautiful daughters. I know she's your better half. She's your rock. You her rock. You equally yoked. But I'm just saying I'm gonna let you talk about her. And how did you meet her? And what made you? Because I wanted to be there at the wedding. At this time, you knew I had a situation going on and with what I had going on. But I really wanted to be there. It really, really hurt me not to be there. But how did you meet her? What was your first line of? I want to talk about your first date.
all right. Let's do it this way. First of all, let's that situation that we had was crazy, and it was the only time we ever had a situation.
Ever.
And I didn't even know. And we were just being men. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
We were just being men. Every man is like, I don't need him. He don't need me. I don't need you. You don't need me. And it's just that two alpha males just like refusing to bend. But I didn't even know she put that call in after you said something to me. Like we actually got on the phone. We talked. You like, yeah, man, you're my who?
Yeah.
What? So I went to her. I said, you set that up? Yeah, baby. I was like, you're right. I couldn't even say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But we met at an event we was doing called Substance Over Swagger.
Okay.
You know, we was at a place called G Hop Gospel House of Praise. I was hosting an event, right? I was hosting an event, and her minister of music brought her there. Now, me and her have two completely different versions of how this night really went. And we'll get to that another time. But we have two completely different ways of looking at how that night played out. But
Okay.
what happened was he brought her there. And when he got there, he said, I brought somebody here to see you. He said that. That's an actual fact. Now, that part of the story, she cannot deny, you know, that he said that. Now, she said he was capping, he wasn't telling the truth. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's what the man said.
Okay. Was she single at the time?
Absolutely. We both was.
Both were single. Okay.
Both were single. So what happened was I went on, did the show. That this particular night, I chose a different route in how I do my performances. I was hosting, but when I did my set, I did my entire set a cappella. No tracks. Mm-hmm. Because I wanted everybody to hear my words that night. So like I did the full performance of the song just with no music. So I did an entire, 4 songs, no tracks. You know what I'm saying? So okay. That right there kind of allowed her to see the inner workings of how, I'm not just an artist. I'm not just somebody that's just up here trying to, sell CDs and this, that, and the third. So when she went in the hallway, I asked her, did she want one of my CDs? Right? So her minister of music bought the CD. Like, you getting the CD. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how I put it. I put my contact information inside the CD.
You're a
right.
silver tongue rascal. You.
But listen, of course, you play it off. You like for bookings.
Yeah, for booking. If you
For
was trying to
bookings,
do the booking, really, huh?
for bookings, this is how you reach me. So a week later, her minister of music, I'm at a play at the same place, and her minister of music and her came back, right? But after that, we went out to breakfast, went to Denny's, talked for a while, exchanged numbers, and the rest is history.
Okay. So what made you just say, "Hey, this is the woman I want to be with. Um, I want to marry her."
At the time, right? Because I was really at a crossroads. At the time, this is when I'm really in full pledge apostle mode. Like we doing 100 shows a year now.
Yeah,
We all over the place.
busy. You was getting
We
busy.
we on the radio. We all over. And one of the things I always said was, whoever I was going to decide to do the courtship with, they cannot fall in love with the apostle. They have to take time to meet Carlton. You know what I'm saying? So when I talked to her, it was easy to talk to. She had the maturity level. Because, man, listen, I dealt with some knuckleheads. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
No, I'm not saying no.
Not to slight anybody, but
no. But I'm just saying, even in court and then without meeting a few people since I've been saved, because I was saved. I ain't scared to say it. I was saved, single, and celibate for 7.5 years before I met my wife. Yeah. So in that time, you get to meet people, and during that stretch, I met some knuckleheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was a lot of them that was 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah,
they were hot one day, cold the next. You ended up in arguments like, man, what in the world is going on here? So she made it so easy. You know what I mean? Her presence, her spirit was there. It was just like, boom. I'm like, oh man, I could really be me.
Your piece. She was your piece.
Yeah, I could really be me. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to put on that, because most of the people I was meeting, they didn't really want me. They just wanted to meet the apostle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
saying? They was in love with. I know in the secular world and the Christian world, people still love that star. In certain parts, and
it's like a cologne. It's like a cologne. Your aura,
it's like
your spirit. It's like a cologne. Just like pastors, when they get up there speaking in that power, come on, it's women in there targeting that pastor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's something about it, but you yourself have to be aware of that and have to be able to hold that off. Because one thing I never wanted to be, I didn't want to be one of the dudes that everybody be like, oh yeah, look at him, he's just like everybody else. I didn't want to be the one running rampant in the church and doing all that stuff. So I didn't want none of that. You know what I mean? I wanted to find my true mate, and being patient, God gave it to me.
Yeah, you was patient, and I remember the times. I remember part of it. You know what I mean? Now moving on to that, you got married. You had a couple kids, 2 beautiful daughters. You're a girl dad. Situation. Like I said, your oldest daughter. Oh man, she is something special. And your youngest daughter is a fighter.
Right.
And people don't understand. Like people don't understand. Your youngest daughter has special needs, like my son.
Right.
And people don't understand. Like it's hard being a parent. But when you are a parent of a special needs child that requires certain attentions or certain things, that's really hard. The people don't understand that sometimes you just can't be there. You just can't come to work that day. You just can't do this because of that. And it takes a village. It takes family. It takes a wife. Sometimes she's weak and you have to be strong for her. Sometimes it feel like it's y'all two against the world. It seems like your family is so close. It seems like you're still alienated and you're away from everybody. How do you manage that? Because it's been times I called you and you were at the hospital, and you with your daughter. And you're like, yo, I gotta go here. Then I gotta go here, and then next thing you know, I gotta go do these moves. I gotta run up here and do the fight. Yeah, my wife is with the girls this weekend, and I'm gonna do the fight because you're working. People think because we're gonna get into that part, but you're working. You're constantly working. I don't see you doing leisure. Everything you do, it might look like it on pictures that you're doing this, that, but you're constantly working with two girls, two daughters, two daughters. You're the only man in the home. How do you how do you work that? How do you make that work with you and your wife? How do y'all make that work?
It's a constant compromise. It's a constant sacrifice, and you have to make sure that you make your presence known in the home. You know, you can't be absent in the home. When you're in the home, you got to be in the home. You know what I mean? You know, we work and we grinding, but you gotta take that time. Whether a couple hours a day. Whether I just like take the kid, just roll around the bed and throw them all over the place. I mean, you gotta make sure you have that time. So, like I say, it's a constant effort. It's a constant compromise. And yeah, it's times where it'll wear you out because things happen at a drop of a dime. You know what I mean? We can go like we was planning this, planning that, and then all of a sudden, we got to run to Children's Hospital, or we got to run to Shady Grove. So it's a constant thing. Like I tell everybody, if you got a relationship with somebody, make sure you just check on them or every now and again. Just it ain't got to be about that. Hey man, I just called to see how you doing, or I just called to hear your voice. I just want to make sure you're okay. You know what I mean? Or just drop by. You know what I mean? Because when you see somebody, especially us that have these things going on, you may look up on that screen and say, "Oh man, he doing this, that, and the third," but you don't know that's my therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just needed a minute. I'm working, but I just need something to keep my mind off everything that's going on because it's like so much going on. You know what I mean? But yeah, and God has gave me a awesome helpmate. You know, an awesome helpmate, my rib. So I remember it was a situation when Kiki had a siege at church, right? And this the first time this particular pastor had dealt with it. He didn't know what was going on. Everybody was running out there. Yo, you needed it. I said, everybody calm down. Calm down. I don't need what you doing right now is what
You don't need.
I don't want. It ain't that I don't need it, but I don't want y'all to do it. You don't need to overreact. We
Yeah.
dealt with this before. We know the steps. If I need to do something like this, I definitely notify you. I don't want y'all to, be alarmed, and I definitely don't want y'all to take away from what y'all need to do with the people in there for this. Now, granted, pray for my baby. No, don't pray for my baby. Say a prayer, but we got this. So the next day, he called me, and we're talking, right? So he's like, man, I just feel so bad. I said, man, don't feel bad, man. God got this. Through this is going to be a powerful testimony. I believe it. And also, man, because of our relationship with God, we built for this. We built for this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it to be like tough or whatever, but when you have a consistent, constant relationship with your Lord and Savior, He gives you the confidence to say you built for this.
Yeah, definitely. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. And this hit so home. This hit home so much. You know what I mean? With me, my son is autistic, and
Right.
Bryson is 11 years old, going on 22. But sometimes he does things like at 5,
Right.
and you have to be very patient. So everything is a process. Everything is a process. Sometimes, if Bryson don't want you to go to work today, it's hard to go to work. You know,
Gotcha.
when you can't. When they say you're lining up shoes and doing things a certain way, but if you can't find a toy that they want, I done bought so many multiple toys that is crazy. But the problem is he ended up finding the multiple toys, so now he know he had 2 or 3 of them. So now you got to keep up with 2 or 3 of them. So I understand that certain things, the spectrum is so large, and I'm an autism dad, and my lady, soon to be my wife. I've been with her. I done made her wait so long, and you gotta forgive me for that, But I move on God's time, and I know it's time. I gave her a ring recently, but it's more about you. But at the end of the day, she is my rock. We butt heads at times, but the thing is, I know at the end of the day who is there for me, She's my support system. She's my rock. I'm her rock. You feel what I'm saying? When I'm weak, she's strong. When I'm strong, she might be weak, but we there for each other. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes I feel like it's us against the world, and you know. But at the end of the day, so I can relate to your story. I can relate to your situation on that part. Now we only have a few minutes left, but I want you. I can't go without touching on this. You're a part of the Black Eye Media Room, CME Studios. You're a partner in this. Um, you have your own show. I want you to, and it's Let's Talk Sports, y'all. I want to know how it came about. I know what it's about, but I want you to tell them about when can they find it, what it's about. I want you to just talk about it and how how it helps people or how is it entertaining and how just talk about it. You know what I mean? And I guarantee you're gonna get some followers behind this because I'm a fan. You done made me more of a fan of boxing. I like certain fighters, but now I'm looking at the underdogs and stuff. And I done been in the gyms with you. But let's get to you. You have a podcast. What's the name of the podcast?
Let's talk sports, y'all.
Okay. What is Let's Talk Sports, y'all about?
Sports and mainly boxing, but I mean we dabble with NBA, NFL, boxing, MMA, basketball. But let me say this: the true story of this and the true like this. Where did this come from? It came from our love for sports that been instilled in us since we was kids.
Okay.
That's where it really came from. We've been talking about possibly doing something like a podcast with sports forever. You know what I mean? And a lot of the guys, y'all know who you are. And I hope y'all see this video. A lot of y'all who sat around and said, oh man, let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast. So many of y'all. And then when we finally got the lights on, you was nowhere to be found. But I still love you. But I still love you. But y'all know who you are. You know who you are. And I even be like, man, because I'm talking about these are people that like at work. I'm talking about we in the break room going at it, going ham. You know what I mean? We at each other's neck talking about, throwing stats and breaking it all down and all that. But like I said, started out on a boxing. I was on a boxing show. Things kind of didn't work out on the business side, but me and everybody's still cool. But then I went on and said, this is something that I just couldn't let go. You know what I mean? I was too far in. I couldn't let it go. So okay. I'm still taking baby steps, still taking baby steps. And every day is a learning process. So, no, I didn't have all the answers. I didn't have everything together. I didn't have all everything mapped out, but I knew this is what I want to do. So I took a leap of faith and I jumped out there. You know what I mean? So, and we still growing. We still learning. We still growing. But as we grow, we're making strides in different ways. You know what I mean? It's still a lot I got to learn on the business side. Still, I got a lot to learn I got on the promotion side. But what we are heavily involved in the media of these sports things. We in the mix. You know what I mean? As people can see in the pics and stuff like that. So we really are involved, and we really developed the part where we can truly be considered a media company.
And
you know what I mean?
And let me ask you, what inspired you to do this? I mean, just say, okay, I'm gonna jump out there. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna jump out on me and do. Let's talk sports, y'all. How did that name come about? And what just made you say, okay, I'm gonna do.
You know what's crazy? Now the name is weird. We was sitting, and you was there. We was sitting in the studio, and we was like, we're gonna go live, and we're gonna do an all sports podcast. And we just sitting there like, what we gonna do? We just like, I was like, man, look, let's just call it Let's Talk Sports, y'all, and we just gonna start the show. And we literally did that. We literally just said, hey man, we're just gonna call it Let's Talk Sports, y'all. Go live, went live, and just kept running. And we never looked back. Sometimes, man, the spontaneous things happen. Just like when I first got my rap name, the guy just came to me and said, Ty Shorty, just went with it. Sometimes you just got to go with it. Just like the Apostle came in a dream. I went to sleep one night and the name Apostle was in my mind. The Apostle was in my mind. I woke up the next day. I said, I'm going to be the Apostle. Keep on going. Sometimes, man, look, sometimes when it hits you, just gotta go. You know what I
Okay.
mean? You just gotta
So
go.
so in the sports world, do people know you as what do they know you as? I mean, what do they call you?
I the crazy thing about it is most people they don't go past the AKA. They don't
Yeah.
even say they
I've
don't
been on they be like AKA. AKA.
or AK. They don't even go
Mhm.
past. I mean, every platform is AK, AKA, and they don't even go to the apostle. They just say AK or AKA. So like when I'm in the room with a lot of people, oh, that's AK.
Mhm.
I at least they know who I am. You know what I'm
So
saying?
where can we in this and I've seen you. Some of the who are some of the people you interview? Some of the people you just in a nutshell, who have you some of the people that you interviewed? I don't want to slight anybody, but just name a few. And
Of course,
and
of course, for around here, everybody knows I have a very good relationship with most of not all the the DMV fighters, namely the Russells. You know what I
okay,
mean? Definitely cool with everybody over at Andrew Council, Drim,
okay,
and
Jim, that's
Trayvon.
brother.
Yeah,
That's family.
Trayvon, Sniper, Marshall, and all them. Always seeing them. They got my guys out Baltimore. My man Childs, of course. The legends out here. The Two Shop Johnson, the Sean Bays, the Keith Holmes, the Joppies, and always like I say, all the local fighters, and them they're not local. I'm saying DMV fighters. I don't want to call you local because a lot of them are out there
Hmm.
worldwide. So definitely, well known to them. And outside of them, of course, y'all seen me. I've been around. Bud Crawford, Shakur Stevenson. Pretty much a
Josh
lot of the.
Taylor. I saw the interview with Josh Taylor you posted on Instagram.
I did. I
Zab
interviewed Josh
Shooter. I
Taylor.
know you have a. I make joke, but I
Oh,
say like
oh yeah,
I say
Zab
that's your
is.
man. Like
Let me say this. Let me say this. I met Zab through Flat,
mhm.
his partner, David Flat Sparks. But
Yeah,
what I
flat.
will,
Shout out flat. I've
hey,
talked to him.
shout out to them guys because I'm saying like this. Every single time I went to somewhere and they was involved, they always showed maximum love. You know what I mean? Maximum love. You know what I mean? And that's all you can ask for. You know what I mean? It's just like my clubhouse guys, they in there now. My clubhouse guys in the surf boxing room, my man Maniac, Mo, Joe, but it's definitely my man Basement Boxing Talks. My man
Mhm.
Black Star Sports and all that. Yes, 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 yes. But like I
Boxing the DC, you can't that platform you
oh
can't.
man, listen. Everybody know before I end every show, I gotta tell Boxing to DC. They the best group thus far. Now, and the
It's
reason
some
why,
more groups out there. It's some more groups, but
but you know why? You
that's
know
the
why I
group.
say they the best group because
Oh,
they don't never get outside the realm of what we talking about. You go in a
okay.
lot of them other groups, people cussing each other out, people to give them their
Yeah.
address, all kinds of silly stuff. But we may disagree, but we keep it boxing. We keep it
Yeah.
boxing. You know what I mean? And that's why I love boxing in DC.
Okay. Now with this podcasting situation, you and you have a prominent podcasting show. You can find you on Spotify. You can find you on Apple Music is coming up, Deezer, Amazon, StreamYard. You've been in this Clubhouse, Instagram. I mean, you everywhere, brother. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years with this music, this media?
Prayerfully, prayerfully, I honestly can say that with a team walking into a building, a real production, where only thing I got to do is sit down and say, "Hey man, put this camera here, put this camera here. I need this note. I knew that." I mean, I see it being where Skip and Shannon was at, where Stephen A. and Max was at. You know what I mean? I don't want to just stay here. You know what I
So
mean?
do you want co-host or do you still want to do it solo?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do
But
you want a
it's gonna be
steady co-host?
structured. Yes, it's gonna be structured.
Are you going to have a team? Are you going to be on the camera at all times, or what is you are going to be the main guy, or
No, I want to get to the point where you have a real show where I can actually be like, okay, today I'm gonna step away and they're gonna run the show for the day. You know what
well,
I
I don't
mean?
like you to say real show because you have a real show now, and
But I'm
so
talking about
like
I'm talking about
the full production.
today at 9 o'clock. I'm weekly every weekdays at 9 o'clock on such and such network. That's what I mean.
Okay. Okay. Well, I see you there, brother. I mean, I see it.
Yeah.
I see. I speak in reality and facts and what I've seen as well, and I see it growing. I look at year intervals and 5 year intervals, and I've seen the jump. Through the pandemic, you didn't stop. You know, we all had scares through the pandemic. It didn't slow you down, man. My guy, I've seen you hustle. I seen you in New York. We was in the fight together, and you was like, "Yo, B, this is what this is. Let's go down here. We there." It was like, "Yo, we going to that fight tomorrow. How much is it?" Boom. He was like, "Yo, I'm cash happy. Let's do it. I'm going up to such and such New York, man. I'm gonna be walking. I'll walk such and such. This, that, and the other. And I did this, but you was there, and I seen the growth. I seen the shirts. I've seen the host. I've seen the guests. I seen all the stuff that you're doing. And brother, like I said, I'm a fan. I'm a brother. I'm a partner. I'm a fan. I man, this interview has been great. And I would like to do it more often with other people.
We gotta do a
And
part two.
yeah,
We got more.
you're the most inspiration, one of the most inspirational people I've met. You've inspired me more than you know. I look up to you, not only as a partner but as an older brother. You ain't that much older than me, but older brother.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, and I respect you so much. Like I have so much respect and admiration for you. And sometimes I want to be like, man, what am I really doing? And I look over to the left. Sometimes it be to the right, and I see that light come on, and or I'll just hit the Instagram, or I'll hit the computer, and you on.
Okay.
I'll be like, that's why I'm doing this, because this guy's still pushing. Guy setting up shows in the middle of the night. Some shows he ain't even end up doing, but I see him. Some of the shows he did.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yo, man, this guy working. And then there be times I'll be about to go up or thinking about going up, and I was like, yo, he on the stream, y'all. And that made me feel so good because I was like, yo, we put in that work. You're the reason that I upped the money on the stream yard and got a bigger plan. You're the reason, and it's a good reason because you're putting in work. You're holding down our situation right now, the company situation. You're leading, you're that beacon in the dark. And brother, I swear, it ain't too many better people than you on this earth as a person. So at the end of the day, I want you to tell people where to find you. Um, how can they find you? Um, and the thing is, you're not a Hollywood guy. And if it's anybody I know that could be Hollywood or should be Hollywood, it will be you. And you're not that. You're not that. You'll get a shirt off your own back for people. And right now, I'm gonna tell you, like it's tears in my eyes, brother, because of I know you and I've seen your growth. And I'm looking at you like a younger brother, and I'm like, dog, that's the guy I want to be like, you know? So where can they find you, brother? Where and how can they find you?
You can find me on all platforms. AK the Apostle. It's either AK the Apostle or Let's Talk Sports Y'all, but it's gonna be on or Cardinal Neil. But that's only on the Facebook. But like I said, it's either AK the Apostle or Let's Talk Sports Y'all, and that's gonna be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, IG, Clubhouse, Twitter, TikTok,
You
Apple.
everywhere, dog.
You name it, we there. Either AK the Apostle, Let's Talk Sports, y'all. Sometimes even both, but it's on all platforms. And somehow, some way during the course of a day, I'm gonna either be interacting or definitely in the boxing, the DC group, the boxing community, the sports forum. But like I said, sometimes you may see me interacting on different pages and this and that, leaving comments and stuff like that. But at one point in time, in the course of every day, it's going to be live on one of these platforms.
Okay, okay, okay. Is it any particular day? Like they need to look for you? Like any particular day? Like,
Right now until next month, it's gonna be mainly in the evenings, probably, Mondays and Wednesdays. You can look for me in the evenings, 9 o'clock. You know, pop up just doing weekly sports updates. And definitely you can check my page daily because I'm dropping dropping shorts and reels and things like that. So you can, just keep you abreast of what I'm talking about, what I'm chopping up. Drop one today about the Canelo Alvarez signing with PBC for 3 fights. So, check that out. That's fresh, hot off the oven. You know what I mean? And always doing post fights. Always
okay.
doing post fights. Now,
All right.
the next big post fight will be July 29th.
Oh, I already know. So where are you going to watch this fight at? Where are you going to be when you watch it?
Honestly, here's the thing. We got 1 or 2 options, everybody. For those that want to rock with me, all my homies, whoever want to rock with me that night, you can definitely come here and rock it in the man cave because I keep the man cave, keep it. Or it's either the man cave or the studio because as soon as the fight is over, I'm going live post-fight.
Okay. So I will be 1 of 3 places. I would either be in the studio that night, that's a long ride home. But I know that it's gonna be some good stuff in that studio that night. Well, I'm gonna be here at home with my family watching it because my son is a boxing fan, both of my sons. Or I will be on that couch at your house.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be 1 of the 3, and I think we'll figure that out in between time. Give me a quick. Since I said I was gonna cut it off at 125, I'm gonna do it at 125. I try to keep them under an hour, but it was so much good content. And I said tonight we're gonna go 125. We at 121. I want to know who do you have for this fight? First of all, what's the fight and who do you have?
I mean, so many fights coming up, but everybody, of course, the big fight. Actually, that week we got 2 major fights that week. First, you got Monster Inouye, and then you got a guy, Cool Boy Steph Stephen Fulton. But the big fight everybody's talking about in the fuss of the world is going to be Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. It's a generational fight. We can debate all day if it's up there with the Leonards and the Hearns and all that. We can debate that all day. But right now, this is the generational fight of this generation. You know what I mean? And I'm going to go with Errol Spence. Right.
You going on record with saying you're going well.
I've been on record.
Yeah, for a couple of years. Yeah.
For years. But it's not taking any away from the wonderful fighter that Terrence Crawford is. I believe, and I could be doing this strictly from an underdog, and I could be doing this strictly from, my own personal.
So you're saying Spence is the underdog?
Definitely.
Okay.
But I believe that this kid has more tools in his bag than people know. You know what I mean? And I believe that it's something about him that I think he's going to be able to do that's just going to just be enough to, outbox Terrence and get a W. But don't get me wrong. If Terrence Crawford wins this fight, there's no shock whatsoever. And I see a lot of people, the problem you got on social media and where everybody's divided, that if you like one, you got to hate the other. And if you say something good about Spence, you got to, or vice versa, you got to say something bad about the other. No, listen, Crawford fans, everything you say he is, he's that. He's him. He's him. Mm-hmm. I just believe the man he's fighting is him too.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to like both of them. It's okay but you don't have to. You don't have to hate one guy to like the other or to love the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of them seem to be stand-up guys, and both of them on top of their game.
You see all the people getting mad. It was like, man, the press conference was so boring. Yeah. No, they was true to who they are.
They are. You're right.
They was true to who they are.
They both have admiration and respect for each other. They talk a little trash, but they
talk a little trash.
But they have respect for each other. Yeah. They have respect for each other.
Always had.
Like the coaches said, well, we like you. we're co-workers. We like you.
Right. Like the one said, man, look, we said, if I wasn't fighting you, I'll watch your fight. I'm a fan of you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. Boxing need more situations like that.
Exactly. All right, good brother. This was a good interview tonight. Long overdue. Should have been one of the first interviews I ever done. You know what I mean? But we here now.
I appreciate this, man. I can't wait for the rest of the family of the Black Guy Media Room and all those that's associated with us. I can't wait to see theirs, and I can't wait for them to see this, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's only the beginning, man. And I want to reach out to you. I know you're a busy man, but I would love to uplift people. This is the beginning of this. We got an extra flex with me and Mr.
I'm here. I'm here, man.
When we come up something that we interview people and tell stories and listen to their story. Positive, all positive stuff. It can't be no riffraff. We're gonna do all people with messages, to help each other. Man, everybody check on your mental health. That's very important. Say a prayer for somebody. Say a prayer. You never know what people going through. Be there for them.
Right.
Like I said, good brother, I'm a man of mine, and I'm gonna tell you, I love you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we are working together. I'm glad that I had this great interview tonight with you. And until the next time, you know what it is.
Salute, champion.
All right.